I'm going to start out with a moment of silence and a true moment of silence, because when we start meetings, it seems like we run right through that moment of silence. But that moment of silence was for me when I went back out there. So let's have a moment of silence. Tim Addict. Man, thanks for allowing me to speak here. I didn't know there was going to be this many people. They said it was in Republic, and I was like, can't be that many people. But you guys put together a meeting, and it's awesome, right? Because there's addicts everywhere, and we need somewhere to go to get our shit off our chest and learn to stay clean. My journey with Narcotics Anonymous started back in 2005. I was at what used to be the Sigma House. I knew that I went to my stepdad and I was an IV user for cocaine, and I just knew that if I didn't get off it, it was gonna kill me. So he took me to the Sigma House and I detoxed. And I got on the inpatient side. I was only there for 12 days, not long, but in that 12 days, H&I came in. And back then, H&I was, man, it was so big, because when I was in those rooms, we go to the meeting, but then all these people would come bantering and laughing and smiling and talking. And I heard some members that's been around for a long time share. And that's when the seed got planted, right? Not to say that when I left treatment that I stayed clean. That's not the truth. That's not what happened. I left treatment. I switched one drug for another, and that's how that went. And I went on like this for man. I got clean the first time when I was 28. June 18th of 2013 is when I got clean for the very first time and actually took it serious, right? I went to jail in Polk County, and anytime I would go to jail in Polk County, I'd be there for 3 months automaticly. And I wasn't a hardened criminal, I promise you. I was there for child support. But see, my train of thought was, just because it was child support, I didn't have to do what everybody else, it was a real criminal, had to do, right? I could do whatever the fuck I wanted to do. And I learned the hard way that that's not true. So I spent 3 months in jail. My PO came to see me when I was in Greene County before I got transferred. And I was like, well, what are you planning? He's like, I'm recommending DOC treatment, 120 days. Mind you, I'm like maybe 8 months from getting off this probation, right? After 5 years. 8 months. So if they send me down, it's going to start me over. I was like, well, I don't think that's a good idea. I think it'd give me more skills than what I have now when I come out, right? So he sent me to jail. I went to jail. I sat there. Something had changed. I knew that when I got arrested, right? I didn't know that it was Father's Day, right? And I'm a dad. How shitty, right? I had no idea that it was Father's Day. I probably didn't know that it was Father's Day until a year later. I realized on my clean day, it was Father's Day that I got arrested. But I can remember when the cuffs hit my wrist. I was sitting on the ground. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was on the corner of College and Grant trying to charge my phone in those apartments right there. One cop went by, it was cool. He was like, you know what I mean? Another one come by and lit up his cherries. And I knew I was going to jail because I was absconder. So I was ready to go, right? He come back, he was standing there and I heard code 13 and I stood up, put my hands behind my back. And he's like, slow down. I said, like, I'm ready to go, I'm tired. I sat in Polk County for a while. I went to go to court and I had a special prosecuting attorney because I wasn't a real criminal. I had a whole different prosecuting attorney, but he couldn't be there. So somehow God worked it out that I could go to treatment. I got a $50,000 furlough to go to treatment. My mom picked me up. I put on the clothes that I went in with. I could not fit in those clothes. But I didn't have anything else to go to treatment with. And my mom had to buy me clothes. So I went to treatment. And when I was in treatment, it was in Warrensburg. And something was different. Like, I really wanted to hear what these people had to say. I really wanted to stay clean. Like, something had changed in me, right? Like, I wanted a different kind of life. And I can remember that somebody else from jail went with me. And I tried to separate myself from him because I was really trying to get this, right? I'm really trying to get this. And something happened, and I don't know, somehow my whole life, it seems like I'm guilty by association. Like, bad shit happens to me, I don't even have to be doing it. Like, I'm just there. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't do it, right? You know what I mean? But I'm guilty by association. And that happened in treatment, and I talked to counselor, and I was like, I want to be here. And they kicked him out and kept me. And I completed this treatment, and we'd go to meetings, right? We'd go to NA meetings outside, and they'd bring something in. And something way back then, someone was talking, and they was sharing, and it was like 1.5 of you, don't ask what happened to the half a person, will make it out. We'll find recovery. The rest will either go to jail, die, or end up in mental institution. And that really stuck with me over the years because it seems to be true. I've seen it over the years. So I'm in treatment and I'm getting ready. I have to go back to jail, right? I have to go back to Polk County, get in Oranges, and stay for a couple days. I had a probation officer. I tried to get away from this guy. I moved to Kansas City to try to get off his caseload, and this guy would not let go of my caseload for nothing. And that's way out of his jurisdiction. He's like, "Oh, you'll be back." I said, "Bet." So I'm in treatment, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm going after treatment. After I get out of jail, because Springfield, right? They say that it's hard to get clean sometimes where you did all your dirt. And my story, when I got clean, it doesn't involve me running to another city. It doesn't involve me running to another state. It doesn't involve me going anywhere. I mean, I went to my mom's. I couldn't get into no houses in Kansas City or St. Louis. I came back to Springfield to my mom's. She lives out in the country. There was nothing but cow pastures and one little house. And she had a fucking landline. And you couldn't call Springfield. It was a long distance. I stayed there, and I knew that I had to go. I love my mom to death. She had me at 13. She had 5 kids by the time she was 21. So to say she knew how to be a mom would be probably a lie. She kind of learned as she went, right? I do give her a lot of props because she never lost us to the state. Not one time. Never. And so she was growing up as I was growing up, right? But I can't live with my mom. It might be good for a couple days, but I knew I had to leave there. I left there. I got someone paid for me to go to, they had a grant or something, so I could go to stay in sober living. I went to sober living. They paid for it. My PO was cool with it. I had a kid's mom at that time. She was telling me that we was going to be together, but I knew there was something else going on, right? So we're addicts and we want what we want and we want it now. 30 days clean, we think we should have the whole fucking world. 30 days clean, everybody should trust me. Everybody should believe that I'm really going to do this. Truth is I spent so many years showing everybody that all I knew how to do was fail time after time after time after time. That's all I knew how to do. And I had nobody to show me how to succeed, right? Nobody. I didn't have a dad. He died when I was 2. I had a stepdad that tried to hang himself in 97, and my brothers and sisters walked in on it. I wasn't there. I was somewhere, I think I was in Saturday school, actually. You know, so that trauma didn't hit me, but my mom and stepdad's relationship was always abusive. And she finally got him away from it, moved us here to Missouri. She thought I'm from Chicago. She thought that maybe getting us away from the gangs, we live a little longer. Well, there's 5 of us. We're all convicted felons. 4 of the 5 have been to prison. I have one brother that did 10 years flat. I have another brother that's currently doing 15. My sister's probably done 7 years. And my other brother, he's had a couple 120 treatments, but he's doing well, right? He's doing real well now. So I never had nobody to show me how to live. And so I go to the sober living. I'm clean. I probably got 90 days because of jail, right? But I wanted to stay clean. Like I had no desire to use. I had the desire not to use. Like that desire to use it was just gone. I don't know how to explain it. Like I wanted something different. Like, and but still, I don't know how to be a man. I'm 28 years old, but I don't know how to be a man. I did not the first idea about being a responsible, productive member of society, because nobody's ever showed me. I went to my probation officer. Probably the most emotional visit I've ever had with a probation officer. He told me that I had done he had seen a 180-degree change from the last time I'd seen him. And he's like, but I'm not sure that you know how to live or to make this work. And he gave me somebody's phone number. It's been his kindergarten best friend. He had a little flip phone. He flipped it open. Gave me his number. It's more of a spiritual mentor. Because there's other ways to recover. I've tried other ways. For me, it's been Narcotics Anonymous. And what I mean by that is, so I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was in that sober living, and I was dealing with the stuff with my kid's mom. And I left the sober living, and I went over there. I was staying at her house. She had been seeing somebody, and we've been in a confrontation a couple times. I run him off. We got in an argument. She called the police. I went to jail for a domestic, and I'd only been out of jail for like 2 weeks. I heard a knock on the door the next day, and it was my short probation officer. He says, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Nothing." He's like, "You should probably get back to sober living now." I was like, "All right, bet." Some things happened with me and her. I got into it with the guy she was seeing. His stepdad was there, and they jumped me. And I like to say that the stepdad knocked some fucking sense into me, right? because I'd never been hit so hard in my life. I mean, I got hit hard, like, you know, because we're going at it, and like, and one dude's like this short, you know what I mean, and he kept talking, so I was just like, well, if I don't swing, you know what I mean, I'm gonna get my ass beat, so I'll just swing. And I was on the ground, and I went to go get up, and I got hit so fucking hard. Dude, I mean, I was like, I got to go. This is not working. So I left, and I never tried to be with her again. But I made a decision, right? Because I went back to a sober living, okay? And I went to Rock's house. Here's Rock's house. Here's her house, just over here. And here's the meeting. The Lie is Dead was my very first home group in Springfield, Missouri. That's where I started service work. They gave me a key. They trusted me. And up to that point, nobody trusted me. And instead of walking to her house and starting problems, I went to that meeting every Monday night, every Thursday night. It was at Pathways to Change where Northside is. It was across the hall. Anyway, I'd found something, right? I got a sponsor, a half-assed work steps, right? And this is my story. Because my story is I got clean. And I stayed clean for 6 years. And I did service. I was RCM, CMA, RCM. I stayed at that home group for a long time. My first NA function was a New Year's Eve function. And what's crazy is about that is when I think about that function and the people that were there were some people that are really close to me that are there. One of them went nuts. Another one just got indicted by the feds. And we all stayed clean for so long. When I was in Narcotics Anonymous for 7 years, my life was so good. I mean, I never imagined having a life like I had, right? Because when I was growing up, I grew up in poverty. I didn't get my first pair of Nikes until I was 16. I got a job and I bought them myself. My mom couldn't afford that shit. And that was okay. So I'm going through recovery. I got with my youngest boy's mom. We was together for 5 years. I got a career. I started driving a truck. Got my CDL. And I was on the road a lot. Family life, work life. That all became more important than Narcotics Anonymous, right? And my son's mom, see, I wasn't in love with her and I wasn't attracted to her. And I knew this. And see, I'm a guy, so like my eyes started wandering. But see, Narcotics Anonymous, what little steps I did work, it taught me, right, that I had morals and principles, and to be honest. And in 2018, February 2018, I went to her and I told her that I wasn't happy. Well, I told her the Thanksgiving before, and I stayed for the holidays. I paid her bills. I left her in a good situation. I got my own place on the south side. And I want to mention that I never ever had a breakup that went that good. Ever. Civil. I wasn't homeless. I did leave everything, but she was the mother of my child. I told her that I didn't want to cheat on her, and I didn't want her to be able to tell my son that her dad was a lying piece of shit. And that was important to me. So the first ever, So 2018, I moved out. My aunt lived with me. It was so cool because my grandma passed. My aunt's the only thing I have on my dad's side, but she's a recovering alcoholic, and she had been sober for 5 years. So I moved out. Everything was going good, but slowly did I start to relapse before I ever relapsed. The things I was doing, the people I was talking to, the people I was hanging out with, not going to meetings. I would like to say that there was one time someone had just overdosed and died in the fellowship. So everybody was hurting, right? And I went to a meeting. And I shared that I didn't want to lose my clean day. And mind you, these are people that I spent 7 years, 6 years in, service work, all that shit, right? And I said, I just don't want to lose my fucking clean day. Because I could feel it, kind of. The meeting got over. I got on my motorcycle and I left. And nobody fucking called me. That shit kind of hurt. That shit kind of hurt. And pushed me out a little bit further. I had the same sponsor. We did work 8 steps. First 3, I worked with him and a whole bunch of other guys. When I got my 6 years, I had to hunt him down at Cabin Fever to get my 6-year medallion. I really felt like a fucking outsider. I felt like that I didn't fit in. And I spent my whole life not fitting in. And it's not nobody's fault. It's not their job to come knock on my fucking door. It's not their job to pick up the phone, call me. It's my job. But at the same time, for me, if somebody's in a meeting and they say they're struggling, and I know you personally, I'm going to reach out to you. Because it's important. Sometimes that phone's the heaviest fucking thing we got. And trust me, I didn't want to hear what they had to say, probably. So I attended Cabin Fever in 2018. I'd already relapsed. Nobody had known about it. Because I had my own place. Nobody knew shit, right? That New Year's Eve, I met my kid's mom at the bowling alley. She was about to have my kid. I've got 4 kids, 4 different women. I don't fucking suggest it. It's rough, right? Financially, it's rough. We'll get into that later. But I showed up, and like I said, my relapse happened a long time before I ever took the first drug. I was growing weed in my spare bedroom. I was making edibles, but I wasn't eating them. I was driving a truck. I couldn't smoke weed and drive, and I knew that, so I hadn't been using, but I was selling. So that's how it always starts with me. I start selling drugs, and for some reason, it's like Pinky in the brain. I start selling drugs, and I want to take over the world. It's like 2 sides of my brain just like, hey, let's take over the world. I had NA stuff all over my place, and people would come to buy drugs. And I wouldn't have to tell them how good Narcotics Anonymous was, because I did believe in it. It gave me such a good life, right? And I can remember calling my kid's mom and telling her to come get all my NA shirts because I didn't wear them no more, right? And I had a lot, and I had some good ones because I've been to a convention in California. I met some people in a Facebook page, and they invited me to a convention, and I went out to that convention. And I made this is the last vacation I've been on. I went out there, I drove out there, me and my kid's mom drove like 5,000 miles in a week, right? I didn't know these people from nothing, right? And they invited me out there, and I got to the people's house, and they invited me in like they know me my whole life. Although I was out of Springfield, Missouri, I fit in out there with people in recovery, in Narcotics Anonymous. They showed me love, and they didn't know me from nothing. And it was great. I had a good time. I really did. But I didn't stay clean. My relapse was looming, right? Me and the kid's mom, she was 6 months pregnant. We got in a fight. She was interrupting my peace. I'm not proud to say it, but she lived with me, and she had to go. Like, she was doing things that was making me insane. And I'm not crazy, I promise. But people can do things to make you think you are fucking crazy and act crazy. Because actions have a consequence. Or reactions, really. So I kick her out. She's due in February. I'm starting to be shitty at my job. I was working at Springfield Grocer. I was local. I got paid less, and I fucking hated it. I wasn't going to as many meetings. I didn't really talk to my sponsor. So that New Year's Eve, 2008, 19, 18, somewhere in there, it was one of those New Year's Eve I relapsed on alcohol. Bought a bottle, picked up my best friend, and he's like, "You can't drive." I was like, "Oh, you can." And he drove my car. We went to the bowling alley to meet my soon-to-be kid's mom. And she was just hateful and fucking mean, so we left. I ended up going to the casino for some reason. And before I went to casino, like I said, I've been selling drugs because that's where it starts for me. I sold somebody some ecstasy and I bought it back. And I was sober by the time we got to the casino. And after that, I didn't touch anything. I went back to work, acted like nothing happened. I went to cabin fever, acted like, everything was normal. And that was the last NA function I went to. I was on a dating site, don't recommend it. And I ran into my high school sweetheart from when I was 16. And my disease knows my weakness before I know my weakness. I truly believe this. We started talking, ended up moving in with her, leaving everything I did. And what's important about this is my aunt was in recovery too, right? And I drug her down with me. She left in the middle of the night, but she had been drinking. I didn't know, right? Because I'm already doing my thing, right? Not paying attention. But she relapsed too. And a little bit of that's on me, I feel. You know what I mean? Because I was irresponsible in a lot of ways. A stable home that we had, I let it go for a woman. Me and that woman was going to bed one night, and a bag of dope fell out of her bra. So my disease had me right there. My drug of choice and a woman. Oh, and I didn't attend Narcotics Anonymous at all, whatsoever, anymore. I quit going to meetings. I didn't call nobody. I was doing my own thing. I was doing whatever I wanted to do, or what I thought was right. I quit my job, moved into her house, started a framing company. That's my original trade. I've done it for 20 years, and I built 2 houses on my own, and the company fails. Turns out tweakers don't show up to work. And man, so you had my addiction, right? Me using again, okay? And then you had obsession over her, right? Man, I I was in something in a cycle that I'd never been in before, right? Never been in it before. Never. Like, I've been in relationships, I've been in love, but I've never been obsessed with somebody. And whether it was the drug or whether it's I thought I could save her or where the fuck it was. Like, I couldn't get over that obsession with her. And the more shit that happened, the deeper I fell into my addiction. Like, my stepdad, I don't talk to him really much anymore. I don't have nothing for him. I was using, but I called and asked for a point, and I hadn't shot dope in 7 years, and he brought it to me. Maybe a part of me wanted him to say, like, nah, probably better not. He didn't. And if you love me, why would you do that? My mom got diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer in February 4th of 2020. I like to say I was there, but that made it worse. Me and my brothers and sisters was in the room. That's the last time I went my way, they went their way, and I went deeper into my addiction. In 2020, in October, man, I was broken, I was beat up. I knew where Narcotics Anonymous was, but I didn't want nothing to do with fucking Narcotics Anonymous, I promise you. First thing from my head. My oldest boy's grandma got me a bus ticket to Colorado Springs, Colorado. Grabbed my bag, made sure I had my driver's license, my medical card, and I got on that bus, and I landed in Colorado Springs, Colorado for November 1st of 2020. I quit getting high, right? But I smoked a lot of weed. The first 12 days I was there, I slept a lot. But I wasn't clean. I was smoking weed. I'd smoke and I'd sleep. My stepdad said something to my cousin, and that whole aspect changed on me or something, and they switched up on me. So here I am out in Colorado. I got family in Denver from my mom's side. I go to a sober living, and I get in there, and I don't have to pay anything. By the grace of God, I got in there, and I was grateful for that. I was there. What's crazy is this fucking disease is something, right? Because when I got there, there was a guy from Osceola, Missouri, in that same sober living. You know where that guy's at now? He's fucking dead. And I met him again here since I got clean this time. And he was in the rooms, but he went back out. So I'm in Colorado, and I got a CDL, and I got a job offer in Brighton, Colorado, and I'm in the sober living. And the guy's like, "Do you think going to the oil fields to drive a truck is a good idea right now?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, how are you gonna pass the drug test?" Because I'm still dirty for weed. And I was like, "I'll pass a fucking drug test." You know what I mean? Like, I gotta go buy the stuff. He's like, "Is that being honest?" I was like, "Damn." So I called the guy, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a recovering addict. I come out here to get clean, and I'm doing great." I said, "But I'm still not clean. My UA is going to come back, hot for weed." He's like, "Man," she was honest with me, "get it out of your system, and then we'll get you in there to do your physical." Because when you have a CDL and you do a DOT physical, if you fail for a drug, it's not good. You go in the clearinghouse and all that shit, and it's bad, right? And I knew I didn't want that. So I end up leaving the sober living and going to my Mexican cousins in Denver. And what a blessing it was, man. I spent a year there. I drove a truck. I got that job. But I didn't go to Narcotics Anonymous whatsoever. Not at all. Because I was going to try God this time in church, religion. And I'm not knocking religion at all. But that's what I was going to try. So I did that for 11 months. It was great. Financially, I was doing great. I paid $19.50 a month in child support, and I couldn't even tell. Right? I can tell today. I get on an airplane and I fly back here and I stay with that same girl. Right? I flew back to Kansas City. Everybody came up. That same girl that fucking I got high with. I lost everything. I met her, had her come to Kansas City. I was in her van and there was a bag of dope. I dumped it out. That's just one instance, okay? She leaves. Finally, I get back on the plane and I go to Colorado. And I didn't talk to her for a long time after that, right? But I have it in my head that I'm going to be with her. I'm obsessed with this woman, even though I'm clean, right? I'm obsessed. Like, it's not because you know, maybe I see the good in her, but she don't. And that fucked me up. And the way she did me fucked me up. But I wasn't done being fucked up by her, I promise you. I got a speeding ticket in Buffalo, Missouri. I had to take care of it. I took care of it, and that cost me my job in Colorado. Because I had a CDL, I got a speeding ticket. And insurance. So August 26th of 21, I got in my car and I left Colorado, and I didn't say a fucking word to my family. I just left, right? I stopped at the dispensary, got some weed and left. I was driving, I was coming back here. My aunt called me and asked me if I could come out to Fresno and drive them back across the country to Georgia. And I was like, well, how is this going to work? I'm in Oklahoma City right now. At a truck stop sleeping. She's like, well, go to Atlanta. We'll fly you from Atlanta to Georgia, to Fresno. So I went and parked my car in Atlanta at the airport, and I flew to Fresno. And you know, during this time right here, I was smoking weed, and but man, I made some great fucking memories with my aunt, right? I drove them back across country. We stopped in Dallas because Dallas is one of my favorite places. I don't know why. I just love Dallas. I got family there too. Spent 3 days there. I drove them to Georgia. And when I was in Georgia, I Googled how far the ocean was from me. I went down to Panama City because it was 4 hours away. And when I sit there at that ocean, if you would have told me the storm that was brewing when I made it back to Missouri on November 7th of 2021, if you would have told me that there was a storm brewing so big that I would lose myself in a way that I never thought I could lose myself again. So I started to build a life again. So I left the ocean and I drove back to Missouri. My son was playing Mighty Mites. Liam, I didn't have a dad, right? When I played baseball, I didn't have parents sitting in the stands. So my son was starting the Mighty Mites, and I wanted to be there. I was not going to start his Mighty Mites season and not be there. So I came back. I'm at his mom's. I'm in the shower. And the sensation comes over me. My mouth gets dry. My legs start shaking. And I get out of the shower, and I drive over to that girl's house. And I catch her in bed with somebody. And that shit destroyed me. I pulled an engagement ring off her finger. I stayed clean for a little while. For my son to finish his Mighty Mites, and I showed up every practice, every game. And people always say, well, is there a picture you ever took and you was absolutely breaking inside and smiling on the inside? It was those photos. Everything that I thought I was coming back to was gone. Family, whatever. And I thought, if I can hurt this bad clean, why the fuck do I want to stay clean? I was at my brother's. I was at my brother's for something, and he called me and told me his wife had tested positive for COVID, and that was the reason for me to pick up IV use because it was the antidote, whatever. This went on till 1/24/25. When I was out there, I was either chasing an indictment or I was gonna die. Someone's gonna kill me. That's all I wanted. But 1/25/24, I walked into Victory Mission, and I surrendered. I was like, I want something different. And me walking into Victory Mission is kind of a big deal because I always thought I would never end up there. I was too good for that. The funny thing is I seen Kristen at Cabin Fever, because Cabin Fever was in February, and I only want to go to Cabin Fever for one reason. I didn't want to go for anything that was going on but the Clean Time Countdown on Saturday night meeting, because I had 9 days clean, and that was big to me. If you've never been to a convention and you've never experienced a countdown, people, you cry. Because when I get down to those people, they just got 1 day and 10 days and something happens. And I needed that for my soul. And when I seen her this year at Cabin Fever, I had over a year clean. She asked me to speak here. I'm grateful for that. What I've done different this time, it's all them people that I associated with when I was in Narcotics Anonymous for all those years. If I see them, I hug them. I got a completely different sponsor. Somebody that works steps. Somebody that I know works steps. And not only does he work steps in Narcotics Anonymous, but the important thing for me is I need somebody that's living outside of this room. Because when I leave this room, I live this. The spiritual principles. I'm not just one person in here and somebody else out there. I live this thoroughly. And see, last time when I was here, what I realized is I relapsed because I did not work a program. I did service work, I attended meetings, and I showed that I reaped the benefits. I thought I could get it by osmosis. But as soon as I was presented with something from the outside, I failed. My program failed. And it says in our basic text, I think on page 79 or 82, nobody working in recovery and relapse, nobody working an active program. We've never seen nobody working an active program of Narcotics Anonymous relapse. And I know this to be a fact because I quit working the program, I fucking relapsed. And I'm lucky to be here today. And I know that I'm lucky to be here today. And I know that I needed that relapse because then Jimmy could have got 4 years clean to be my sponsor. So I'm gonna wrap this up. In 15 months, I've got a great job, and I'm actually getting ready to go to work here now. As I'm keeping Jimmy up, we work at the same place, different buildings, different shifts. Life is good, and it's only because I work a program of Narcotics Anonymous. It's not because I go to church. It's not because of anything else. What works for me is Narcotics Anonymous. And it took me 6 years of a relapse to figure out that I fucking needed you people. I work steps. I have a sponsor. I try to help newcomers. I go to meetings. I'm humbled by my fucking financial situation in big ways. And that's huge for me. I'm just grateful today that I have a place to live. I'm not homeless. I'm not high. I'm not strung out. My mom knows where I am. She doesn't even fucking call me no more. But she knows I'm safe. I'm building a new foundation, Narcotics Anonymous, and with new people. And I love the shit out of Jimmy. Even when I don't want to say something to him, I say something to him. I've gotten comfortable with him. And it didn't happen overnight. It's happened over time. Through steps. So work steps, get a sponsor, go to meetings, because the meetings is the formula. And give yourself some grace, because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be rainbows and clouds all the time, and it all takes time. But with time and work, you can do this. But I'll pass.
Thanks, man.